guys, how y'all doing today? I will be talking all about IELTS. Yeah. It's been a long time since I don't talk in English in this channel, so I guess you can notice the differences between 1 year ago and now. To all those who don't know me, hey, I'm Tatiana, I'm 17 years old, I'm Colombian, and I love languages. And recently I took the IELTS test. I was super freaking scared, and especially because I feel like sometimes I don't have the confidence enough to, believe that I can reach a C1 or even a C2. But I think I exceeded my expectations, so I guess you'll like this video. So with no else to say, let's get started. Before starting this video, I want to give you like a gift. I am an ambassador of IEF. You may know them. If you don't, it's basically like an agency of different schools around the world to learn languages. You can travel to any country you like. Well, there are like 55 countries, but there are 12 languages. You can study English, French, German, Korean, Chinese. I mean, you can study like the most famous languages in the world in all these schools. So what are you waiting for to get your brochure and live the most amazing experience of your life, I swear. The link is below in the description, so you can sign up there and get your $100 gift. So now let's get started. So a little overview. It depends if you're taking the general test or the academic test. I took the academic test because that is for universities and basically institutions all around the world. General training is more for work, if I'm not mistaken, and there is other one that is for the UK visa, so take that into account. Guys, a little disclaimer here. I've been studying French this month and I haven't really had the opportunity to practice my English a lot. So if you hear some mistakes in my pronunciation, in my grammar, whatever, please tell me. I will be delighted to improve my English even more because I really need to level up my English now than ever. So I'm not going to tell all the details of the general training because I didn't do it, but I'm going to talk about the academic test, which is what I did take. So the price of the exam was $205, which is 780,000 pesos colombianos. So as you might know, this test has 4 parts: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Writing is scary. So for the listening test, you have 30 minutes. There are 4 recordings and you won't hear the recording a second time, so you have to be really careful in this section. In my experience, it was really easy. You have to be really careful and pay attention to all the things they are saying because everything is in there. If you're taking the paper-based test, which I took, you're given plus 10 minutes to transfer your answers. The most common accents are British, Canadian, New Zealand, American, but not so much. So I recommend you listening to a lot of British podcasts. We'll talk deeper about that in a moment, so don't worry. In listening, you can either have multiple choice, matching, plan, map, and diagram labeling, form, note, table, flowchart, or summary completion, sentence completion, short answer question. You should know that there is a band score sheet where you can see all the criteria. That way you can get better results in each section. But this is for the listening section. For reading, you have 60 minutes. So there are 3 large texts with 40 questions, and they're generally academic tests, as it's the test. Right. If you have good time management, this will be really easy for you, and you have to have the ability to concentrate. This is another really easy section of the IELTS for me, but I'll give you in a moment all the tips that I think you should be implementing in your life to improve this IELTS scores. Now, for the writing, you have 60 minutes also, and this is divided into 2 parts: the report and the essay. For the report, you should be doing a report for a flowchart. Normally is a line graph, some kind of graph that shows you the information in something. This is an example of it. This is another example of it. Those are the most common ones. However, I got a map from a city before and after, and I had to report like all the changes and all the stuff. You need to be careful because this can be quite tricky if you don't know how to respond to it. I've seen a lot of videos. I even took a course, and they say that you should spend in this maximum 20 minutes. Try to spend less, at least 15, so that you can have time to plan for the second part. And the second part is the essay. In the essay, you have to normally give your point of view or solve a problem. You have to, look at the problem, the solutions, give your opinion, and obviously justify it or give the advantages and disadvantages of something. There are several types of questions to this essay, so these are the ones. Remember that this is an essay. You should have any structure. The one I advise is the 4-paragraph structure: introduction, problem, or paragraph 1, paragraph 2, or solutions, for example, and conclusion. Oh, and one thing is that in the report, you shouldn't have a conclusion, but I will give you my tips. And last but not least, the speaking section. This lasts around 11 to 15 minutes, and it has 3 parts. Part 1, which I like to call like the warm-up. You're asked general topics, for example, your family, your hometown, your studies, etc. The second part, which is like the proof part, and you have to talk about a specific topic which is given to you in a card. You have to answer to that thing with specific details and talk about it for around 2 minutes. And the third part, the last part, lasts around 4 and 5 minutes. And generally, you will be asked further questions about the topic too. And here are more general questions. You should not talk about yourself, but the questions seen in an abstract way. They're typically general questions, so that's why you should respond to them in that way. So this is my overview of the test, and I'm going to give you my scores. These are my scores and the final score. I got 8.0 for listening, reading, and speaking, and writing 6.5. I honestly thought that I did worse on the writing because I was so nervous, and that day it was horrible. I'm going to tell you also how to deal with stress and literally not sleeping, because that day I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep, and I had a headache. It was the worst horrible day, but I still got those scores, and I'm sure you can too. So my preparation, it starts with January 2022. I started preparing for the IELTS in January, literally like on the 3rd of January, and I prepared for around 3 weeks. My motivation honestly was like the price of the exam, because it's really expensive. That's like almost the minimum wage here in Colombia. So I was like, no way I'm losing this money. I was studying like day and night, literally. And I obviously did study English in the past, but not at the level of an English test, because in an English test, you have to have certain abilities to take the test, obviously. And I was like, I don't know if I have the right skills to, present the test. So the first thing I did was to take a simulation test of the IELTS in a page that I'm going to leave here because I really don't remember the name. And I did that on October last year. My scores were like 6.5, but if you ask me, I thought that simulation test was even harder than the real one. It was pretty weird. Later, I decided that I was going to do the practice tests of the Cambridge book, which is this, and I got it for free on the internet, and I did all of the practice tests that were there so that I can get the full experience, the real experience, because those are the verified ones, and I really felt good with them. So I recommend you doing that. And my background in English is that I started in an academy which is called American School Way here in Colombia, but that was like 3 years ago, and I didn't really study a lot like since 2021 January, because that's when I finished my course. So I was kind of scared, that I was losing the level, but I actually didn't. And if you see my previous videos in English, I have improved a lot on pronunciation and fluency. So that's why I'm really proud of myself now. I also spend my days listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, Netflix shows. For example, I used to watch a lot of Gossip Girl. I adore Gossip Girl. Plus I'm learning French, so it's a freaking real good mix for me, and it gives me that motivation. Also, I desired to study abroad, so I had to take the IELTS test, and that was another think of the motivation, but obviously it was scary. I think most of you take it too because of that. So I really say he who perseveres achieves. And really, I never gave up on English. I really enjoy a lot English. So I was like, no way I'm losing money. No way I'm losing the knowledge that I have. Because, for example, here in Colombia, not everyone has that privilege, because that's a privilege to say, yeah, I'm C1 in English, that I can speak fluently and without a problem English. Because education here in Colombia, it's not that good. So I really put my heart and soul into English. As I told you, I started listening to podcasts and everything from 2020 to now, obviously. And on Tandem, which is an app that I think you might know the app, to know people from different parts of the world. And I had a friend who's called Adriana. If you're seeing this, I love you. She was a really good friend and I spent months talking with her. Now I think I don't really talk with her that much, but I really have her in my heart, and that's a really good way to practice your English. So I do recommend you a lot using the apps to your advantage, God. Instead of spending days watching TikTok and I'm not saying that can be useful, but you have to take advantage of your time, girls. I took a course in Udemy, but it was super, super long. And in 3 weeks, there was no way I was finishing that. It was around $14. It was cheap and the information was useful, I'm not gonna lie. But I think that you can get all that information for free on YouTube, even on Instagram pages, because I followed a lot of Instagram pages. So I don't really see the necessity to take an IELTS course. It's just that you have to practice the English that you have and obviously level it up. Okay, so I just took breakfast, so that's why I'm kind of different. Yep. So now I'm going to tell you all about the experience I had that day. My test was divided in 2 sections. If you look your appointment in the British Council page, you'll probably get, the speaking test a day or 2 before the reading, listening, and writing test. So that's what I got. I got the speaking test 2 days before the other part of the test. It was January 27, the speaking, and the reading, listening, and writing the 29. January 27 was pretty normal. I had the appointment at 10:40 a.m., but I had to be 20 minutes earlier. I arrived to the hotel. The person who grabbed all the documents and everything was super friendly. Everything was pretty great. They took a picture of me and they made me sign some documents, but normal. It was normal. I obviously couldn't carry with me nothing else than a pencil and an eraser. So no phones, no nothing. They put me at the side of the room where I was going to take the test, in a chair with the one who was supervising me, because I am a minor, so I needed to have someone to supervise me, basically. So I got into the room with the examiner. He was really friendly. I was just so nervous that when he asked me how can I call you, I was like, oh, you can call me Tati. But I think that's really you shouldn't say that. I mean, be too close with the examiner, because that is being recorded and you've never seen that examiner, so you should keep calm, really. So, the first part, he asked me about my hometown, if I did like my hometown. I was like, no, I plan to retire to maybe the countryside when I am older. He was like, why is that? And, the conversation kept going. He didn't really ask about my family, it was just hometown. But you should prepare for the 4: family, university, work, and hometown. The second part, I had to talk about a cafe I have went to in the past and why was that experience kind of memorable to me, or why was it the best cafe. I honestly don't go to a lot of cafes, so I was like, oh god, what do I say now? But I have went to Starbucks, so I was like, well, I can save me a little bit here. And so I talked about Starbucks, but I had to make up a lot of things because I wasn't sure what I was going to say. I was like, no, I went with my best friend because we both love Starbucks. It is really trendy nowadays. I was like, oh god. And I even remembered that I said a lot of things wrongly because, for example, I used the wrong verb. For example, I was going to say I ordered a cappuccino and I said I asked for a cappuccino, and you don't normally say I ask for a cappuccino if you are in a cafe, it's I order. Or if and not in a cafe, in a restaurant, in whatever place you're going to buy something, you say I ordered, because you order. And I realized that I did a lot of those mistakes in the speaking test. So it's really my advice that you practice a lot different types of questions before the speaking test, because that day I was like, no, I feel prepared, well, not totally. I was really scared though, but you have to talk about a lot of different topics, and you should be prepared at least at 50% of the topic. I had like 1 minute to prepare my answer, so I was like, well, yeah, a Starbucks best friend, I put like keywords. You shouldn't like write a whole sentence, because that's going to take time, and then you're going to run out of ideas, and that's not the idea. So the key to that second part is write keywords, try to talk at a slow pace, and kind of give a story. That's what they appreciate the most. You can kind of give a story with that experience or thing that you're going to say. So you start like a story, introduction, then the plot, then the conclusion or the end of the story. But you have to deepen. You have to dive in the story so that you can get more points. In the band descriptor, you can see how is a band 9 in the IELTS test for speaking. And you can see it here. If you ask me, I'd say it's not that hard. At the moment, I was super scared because I was like, what if I am saying the wrong answers? But the truth is, they don't care about your answers. They care about how you express yourself. You're able to speak with fluency, with confidence especially. Obviously, they're going to mark you on grammar, on pronunciation and everything. The thing is that if they can understand you, then that's all you need to do, But you should also talk about different things. For example, when I was asked about the cafe, I was like, I have a sweet tooth. And I looked for that word. Well, it was an expression, like a slang expression. I adore sweets. So I was like that. I was like, well, I'd say that I have a sweet tooth. So I really like the Frappuccino. And that kind of gave me points. And he was like, oh, great. So you know English, right? And I was like, yes, I obviously know English. But I have acquired all of that through Netflix, literally, because I have watched a lot of shows in English. I have read books in English. I have done millions of things in English. So you should try to do everything in your day-to-day life in English. I swear that will be life-changing for you. Then in the third part, he asked me most about apps and technology. Honestly, it was weird because normally the third part relates to the second part, but in this case it wasn't. He was like, what do you think of the apps? What is your favorite app? And I was like, okay, this is weird. And he was like, do you think that apps or technology are good for people nowadays? Like, if they unite us or if they separate us and that kind of thing. And well, I gave my opinion, but there was this one question that it was like, if all people were to disappear now, and the civilization was going to transform to how it was like 500 years ago, what would you do? It was a question like that. It was like, what? I honestly didn't understand at first, so I was like, well, I think that's a really hard question. And I mean, I understand what he said, but I couldn't really process the question because it was really long. And so I was like, oh fuck, I really didn't even know what to say. I was like, oh no, well, we're going to go to the times of Jesus, I was going to say some stupid thing. I was like, no way I'm going to say this. But I think he noticed that it was like super hesitating about that question, so he changed the question. I was like, thank God. And so that happened and everything was great. I honestly thought that I really messed it up because of the things I told you about the verbs. I was using the wrong verbs. For example, in the second part, I said to the coffee shop. Oh, to the cafe. No, I didn't really even say coffee shop. I said to the coffee, but coffee in English were coffee. But if you say cafe, is the restaurant or the place, I must say. So I was like, oh, the coffee, oh, the cafe, oh, and I said like 3 different things, and he was like, I was, fuck, I messed it up, but I didn't. I actually didn't. So I was like, oh god, thanks, because I thought that I had made a lot of mistakes, but it was because of my nervousness. I am not usually that nervous because, well, no, I am if I am put in a lot of pressure, and I was in a lot of pressure that day. I was like, I can lose this test, I can lose this test. And you should aim for a goal on the test. For example, if you need a 5.5, then put your goal to be 7. You know, if you know that you can improve your English and that your English is much better than that.